Ghost of Yōtei just can't catch a break these days. Daka Daka says, get ready for the DLC to get canceled. Next, Japanese people found out how bad the game was and stopped buying it. If it was selling well enough to mention it in Japan, then the US sales must be in the gutter, which is a very good point. If all we're doing is talking about the sales in Japan for this game, that speaks volumes for how bad it's doing in America. If you got to leave the country to find sales somewhere else. Grum says, Ghost of Yōtei sales reportedly dropped off very fast, causing Sony to scale back ad spending. And this is linking to That Park Place, who said media pushes unverified Ghost of Yōtei sales claim based on tweet from small insider account. Sony Sucker Punch stay silent, which I covered previously in another video, but we're going to dive into this because there's some new information as well. Before we do, Xbox Series also posted rumor Ghost of Yōtei ads quickly scaled back by Sony due to collapsing sales. Well, the ending was two lesbians raising a kid together, a la Last of Us Part 2. And here is the article from That Park Place saying, rumor Ghost of Yōtei ads quickly scaled back by Sony Japan due to collapsing sales. And this is by Marvin Montanaro. And shout out to Marvin, by the way. I was chatting with him before recording, and he told me that he has a exclusive story about Sony tomorrow. A source close to Sony had told That Park Place that Sony Japan has quietly scaled back its marketing push and paid advertising for Sucker Punch's Ghost of Yōtei less than a week after its launch. According to the source, the decision comes in response to disappointing sales trends, in quotes, and a desire not to, quote unquote, lose money on a game that has a declining sales trajectory. Now, why I said I talked about this the other night is I did not have an inside source. I just took a shot in the dark, guessing that it seems like based off of the advertising being scaled back, it would make sense that they're doing that because Sony proper has realized that they're not going to make the money back that they're putting into advertising in order to bother with doing it, because they already are probably either have turned a profit on it already or are probably getting kind of close to turning a profit with it. And it's slowed down so much that they've realized that if they keep putting money into it, then it's going to actually kick that can of profit down the road, and they might not actually turn a profit with it. The source, who spoke on condition of anonymity, stressed that internal discussions at Sony have described the situation as unexpectedly soft, given the PlayStation exclusive title's heavy pre-launch promotion and supposed strong start. And we still, to this day, have not heard a peep out of Sucker Punch themselves or Sony regarding sales and how much this game has done anywhere. This is Sucker Punch Studios still posting, hey, look, here's an option menu, guys. You getting motion sickness with the game? There. Oh, you want sales? Sales? What sales? What are you talking about? We're talking about options in the game menu. From source, and they quote, Sony Japan has cut off marketing ads for Ghost of Yōtei. They're not happy with the sales decline, stating that they don't want to lose money on a game that has a declining sales trajectory. It's important to note that this information comes from a third-party source, and these claims have not been confirmed by Sony or Sucker Punch. As such, they should be taken with a grain of salt until official sales data is released. Marketing silence matches online patterns. The rumor aligns with growing observations from gamers and industry analysts that Ghost of Yōtei's advertising has dried up at an unusually fast rate. Almost to the point of, and I said this in my previous coverage of it, like they had a certain allotted amount of money for post-launch advertising, and they were like, you know what? Actually, let's not do that. Let's bank that money that we were going to put towards it and just be good with what it is right now. Emerald Apple, I covered this. This is where I got it from, by the way, the number 3. Promotional marketing stopped shortly after release. This indicates they stopped any ad spending to maintain reserve cash on hand. Then the game fell out of trending very quickly. And on X, they talk about it here with Emerald Apple, which I covered, like I said, in my previous video. The same post suggested that Sony's promotional spending may have been paused after launch, citing lack of visible ad placements and social media campaigns. It's true, by the way. Pre-launch everywhere I went, what's it, IGN, Sony.com, PSN network, online, on X, anywhere. Ghost of Yōtei on Discord. It was being promoted on Discord advertisements, like everywhere. I saw Ghost of Yōtei. Post-launch, gone. I don't see it anywhere at all. While correlation doesn't equal confirmation, the pattern lines up with what that Park Place source described: a cooling corporate response and a retreat from further investment in a title that may be underperforming expectations. A sharp contrast to the media narrative. This emerging picture directly contrasts the widespread smash hit storyline circulating through gaming media outlets. As previously reported, many of those same outlets base their sales claims on a single unverified tweet from a quote-unquote insider account with roughly 9,100 followers, which alleged 1.3 million copies sold in the first 24 hours. Many of those same outlets did not cite this as a rumor. That's true. I said this when I was covering. I'm like, they're talking about it like it's a fact. This unverified source that has less than 10,000 followers. And again, shout out to Hypnotic for catching that when it first happened. Unverified source. And all these outlets just jumped on it like flies on shit. They were like, we got our number. It's over 1 million. Which at the same time, I've gone on record saying, I'm sure it's sold over 1 million at this point. Day one? Probably not. But I'm sure at this point it's sold over 1 million. I'm sure. I hope it did. Holy shit. Could you imagine if this game didn't even sell 1 million copies yet? Yikes. Now, Sucker Punch and Sony still haven't said anything yet, so there's a chance it hasn't. This is that post that I covered in that video. Sony and Sucker Punch have remained completely silent since launch, a notable departure from their approach to Ghost of Tsushima, whose sales milestones were publicly announced and celebrated at every stage. If the claims are accurate, Sony's sudden marketing pullback could suggest that Yotei isn't living up to the hype, or that early projections were widely overstated. And they just go on talking about waiting on the numbers, and until official numbers are released, it remains unclear. And that Park Place is going to continue monitoring it. But yeah, this is a wild, wild story about how the media ran with this. Similar to Concord, Dragon Age of Veilguard, Dustborn. I mean, this is just another one of those games where they run with the narrative of go woke, go top of the charts. Oh, let's delete that Jason Schreier type post. The media in general was trying to run with this narrative to get an own on the chuds or something. Again, I keep going back to them like, I'm not like hoping this game completely bombs and fails. I mean, that would definitely send a message, but that's not my expectation. My expectation is it's going to sell half of Tsushima. I've said that from day one. It will sell less than half of Tsushima. That was the quote I've gone with. And I've already seen online people trying to twist that saying, oh, C-Smash is sold over 1 million or it's selling over 2 million. You were so wrong. I'm like, I never said it wouldn't. Tsushima sold what? 14 or 16 million in its lifetime so far? Yeah, this game is not going to hold a candle to that at all. And I want to end this on this. And I thought this was fascinating because this is what's going to make the sales completely tank on this game. Skill Up posted their review on Ghost of Yōtei and confirms exactly what people were thinking. It's from Nowhere. They said, it's just more Ghost of Tsushima, but worse. And yes, I said Nowhere. It's just PS shills and the quote-unquote owning les chuds force that is gassing this game. You're not missing anything. No need to pay as this ugly ass lesbian. So let's check what this quote says. And full context, I did watch this entire review earlier from Skill Up, and all it did was confirm exactly what I was thinking this game was. I'm like, yep, that explains why no one's talking about the gameplay.
In fact, it was so good that one of the other things I said in that Game of the Year video is that I think this particular spin on the open world formula.
Oh, by the way, right now when he's saying it was so good, he's talking about Tsushima.
This map marker driven AAA Ubisoft inspired cinematic open world action game, Ghost of Tsushima essentially perfected that formula to the point where there was nowhere else for it to go.
I agree, by the way. Tsushima was incredible. If they were going to copy the formula, do a 1-for-1, I would have been okay with that if it was Jin Sakai going to the main island of Japan and continuing the Ghost legacy. But they didn't do that. And if you're not going to continue with Jin, you really need to innovate. You got to do something really special and really different. And according to Skill Up, they did none of that. If anything, they regressed.
On that basis, I was really hopeful that developers would begin to reimagine the foundations of this genre so they could push new frontiers and deliver us something we hadn't experienced before, rather than another version of a game we've played dozens of times now. Ghost of Yōtei is exactly what I had pleaded for Sucker Punch to not make. It's Ghost of Tsushima again, but with better visuals and a way worse story. We'll do the full review.
Again, I would have been fine with Ghost of Tsushima again. I really would have been. I didn't have any issues. As long as Jin Sakai continuing that storyline, would have been great with it. What they thought is they could just palette swap and switch out the character and be like, hey, you're playing as this chick now, but it still goes to Tsushima. It's just for the girl. Come on, bigot, buy it. What are you, a bigot? You don't want to be a bigot, do you? You have to buy it.
Don't worry, that really is the strapline. If you've played Ghost of Tsushima, you have already played this. With how central storytelling is in these sorts of open world games, I came away from Yotei feeling not a lot of love for it. This original game, mind you. In fact, it was so good that one of the other things
I came away from it saying not a lot of love for it. Oof. And I gotta be honest, the entire review from Skill Up is quite scathing, but fair, but very fair. Like, he talks about how there are parts of the game that he loves. He's like, yeah, the cooking mini games, those are fun. Yeah, but that's not why you come to play this game. That should be the cherry on top. That shouldn't be why people are buying the game. The game really falls short in storyline and gameplay. The mechanics, how it works, the outfits and costumes in the game, didn't like the design of them. Like, everything is just going through. It's very scathing. I would imagine Sony saw this and Sucker Punch saw this and they're like, oh shit. That's not good. We have a somewhat trusted reviewer out there that a lot of people look up to for an honest, non-biased opinion when it comes to reviews. I'm sure when I say that, people are going to be like, oh, Skill Up is the same, did the XYZ. In general, people typically look at Skill Up as, okay, this is going to be their honest opinion, honest take on it. And this was brutal. Brutal. I highly recommend checking out the entire video from Skill Up. I'm not going to go through it here, but it is scathing, and it paints Ghost of Yōtei in a very poor picture. And basically, in a way, he doesn't like call it woke. He doesn't say girl boss, but he goes into how the game falls into all those same tropes that are exactly why you don't do the woke girl boss narrative. So he basically says it without saying it. But yeah, Ghost of Yōtei, apparently, according to that Park Place, is scaling back all advertising from Sony. And the reviews are coming out now from actual gamers. And now that the media is not having the full narrative control of it, it is getting destroyed out there. I'm very curious to see if Sony's going to say anything about this. But definitely don't hold your breath. I'm going to leave that one there. Sucker Punch canceled a medieval game before Tsushima over the gameplay loop being boring. Surprising how Yotei wasn't canceled. Well, from what I understand, I think it was it Endymion? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Endymion was the one who said he had an inside source at Sucker Punch or someone in the know that told him that Yotei originally started as a DLC edition. Again, if it wasn't Endymion, I apologize. But someone was saying it started as a DLC for Tsushima, and then it started as a broader storyline for Jin. And then it was like, oh, we're going to turn it into a whole game and actually change the main character and change the entire storyline and just run with this entire. So it started out as like additional content for what already existed. And then they turned it into its own full-blown game. Kind of like, was that Miles Morales, Spider-Man? I feel like this was one of those games that did that.